Twentyone has changed a bit since my last video. Now that the ranked mode is out, I've learned a lot of new strategies. Twentyone, so many new strategies that I wanted to make another video on the game. But not just any video, I wanted to make the video on the game. An advanced guide. Oh, nice. 21. Welcome to the Twentyone Advanced Guide. This video assumes that you've already watched my first guide on Twentyone, as that is where I cover the basics of the game. Almost all of that video is still relevant, so I would definitely go watch that video first if you haven't. Also, as a warning, this video will get very nerdy later on, so if you're not a fan of calculating chance, then some of this video might not be for you. But don't worry, I've added chapters to this video so that you can skip to the parts that you want to watch. Before I get into any strategies, I want to cover the new judge that was added to the game after my previous video, Dr. Electrocutioner. The main difference between Dr. Electrocutioner and Mr. Saw is how the bet system works. While Mr. Saw works more like a scale between both sides, Dr. Electrocutioner has both players' health split up into their own meters. Along with this, how close you are to death cannot be decreased, so if you're at 3, you'll not be able to lower it for the rest of the game. This has some very interesting side effects, mainly with the bet trump cards. Previously, if you were to play a bet up trump, whoever lost would have that amount of bet put onto their side of the scale. However, with Dr. Electrocutioner, the bet up trump card only affects how much closer your opponent is to dying if they lose. Same thing goes with the bet decrease trumps. They will only affect your bet counter, not your opponent's. This also means that you won't be able to come back from a situation where you're close to death. Even if you win a match when you're close to death, you still are and always will be one loss away from losing the entire game. Now I'll get into some of the strategies that I've learned since last video. All of these can be applied in the new ranked game mode, however they aren't specifically meant for ranked. I wouldn't recommend using most of these strategies outside of ranked though, just because it might hurt your brain after a while. In the last video, I recommended that you count the cards to see which ones can still be drawn. To add on to that, calculate the percentage of drawing the specific card or cards that you want. For example, if I'm at 17 and the cards 3, 4, 10, and 11 are able to be drawn, I would have a 50% chance to draw a card that would not put me over 21, and a 25% chance to draw the 4, which would put me at 21. This can help a lot if you're in a bad situation. Depending on how much risk you're willing to take, you might want to play trump card instead of drawing. I don't have a specific amount of risk I'm willing to take when calculating the percentages. Instead, I choose how much risk I'm okay with based on the trump cards I have and what I can do to recover from a bad draw. If I have the refresh trump card, I'm willing to draw on a 1 in 5 chance. If I only have bet up trump cards and number trumps, I wouldn't test my luck unless I had to. This is a pretty simple one, but I didn't include it in my last video. Keep track of how far away you are from dying, and compare it to how much damage you would take this round and the next round if you lost. This can give you a good wake-up call if you realize that you could lose the next round. Sometimes I play the game without thinking about how much damage I'm taking, and then I get shocked when I'm about to die. It's just easier knowing when you will die so that you don't need to panic about it. If you're making a play that requires a lot of trump cards to pull off, think about if there's a more efficient way to do what you're trying to do. Try making a play that requires the least amount of trump cards to do. For example, I could set the limit to 27, play a 5 trump card and a 4 trump card, then play a shield trump card to protect the go for 27, or I could just refresh to get a better hand. This next one is somewhat of a continuation of the last strategy. Think about what trump cards your opponent could have to counter your play. If you use a lot of trump cards to make a play and your opponent counters with 1 or 2 trump cards, that's a massive loss for you. You shouldn't think, well, what if they have 5 disservices? Just keep what you think they could have to a reasonable level, like 4 disservices. Last, and probably least, always be paying attention when playing the game. Honestly, it makes it less fun, but if you want to make sure you win most of your games, you'll need to be 100% focused on the game at all times. Always be thinking about what your opponent is playing, what you're going to play, and all of the other strategies I've listed above. It's a bit tiring, but again, it works. In conclusion, Twentyone is difficult and luck dependent, and sometimes you lose even when you play perfectly, but there's still some skill involved. Hopefully this video helped you with the skill part of the game. If you need help with the luck part, then just find a 4-leaf clover or something. It's not that hard.